Hello, how are you? So I'll just do a quick intro. So my name is Joy. I'm a software engineer based in Nairobi, Kenya. I also help in leading an amazing community known as Angular Kenya, and I'm also a huge fan of jazz. That's my fun fact. So we start by understanding what is reactive programming. So reactive programming is being able to work with an asynchronous stream of data. So what asynchronous basically means is it's a programming paradigm that means you're able to sort of like um, uh, you don't have to wait for you can do multiple operations at once. You really don't have to wait for one operation to complete for you to do the other. So basically, you're manipulating many streams of data at the same time. So you can think of it as a type where data is flowing from one end to the other, right? Right. So common terms in reactive programming are observables. So an observable basically represents a stream of data. And then whenever we hear about observables, we also always have to subscribe to them because one thing is observables are lazy. So we always have to subscribe to them for them to get triggered and for them to give us the first result, right? So subscribe basically means a subscription um, is an actor that decides when an observable must be listened and when you can stop listening to it. And obviously, after you subscribe to an observable, we always have to unsubscribe um, because when you no longer need the subscription, this is a healthy way of keeping your app healthy, ensuring there are no memory leaks, and not causing slow performance. So I'll let Chesa take on the rest.
So the declarative data access pattern, when we're looking at declarative, we can think about a recipe. So when we have a recipe, we really do not care what the final step is. We just know that we want a recipe to make pancakes. And now going through the recipe from the first point to the last point is now the recipe will guide us to get us to the pancakes that we want. So in the same way, this pattern is the way that observables work. We say that we want a specific piece of information, and then now we get it through subscription or via an async pipe. So when we think about an async pipe, we can think like having this cool IoT house that maybe has an automatic water valve. And once people are in the house, the water valve opens. So by people being in the house, this basically now looks like thinking about how you are in a particular component, and now you are receiving the data that you want to use. If the people leave the house, now you are leaving the component to a different component, the automatic water valve close. So that's how I like to think about the async pipe. So in the next part, we can see that how does this look like in code. So I had this small snippet. So for example, that we have a service, and this service basically just has a method that calls get posts, which returns an observable of posts model array. And in the component, we load this observable, and in the subscription callback, we can still get this information. So by declarative data access pattern, we see that we want posts. Now we're just getting the posts from the observable that we are using. Inside the template file or the HTML file, this goes on to now we're now just looping through the posts and showing that, okay, this post, the name, this post, its title and everything. So in the async pipe method way, we see that now we can have that the get posts we inside the component file. And once this is in the component file, we use this local variable inside the template file together with the async pipe and another variable with the as keyword, so that to get this information inside the template file. It is important to note that this is now how we are going to get the information that we would want to use. So in the next pattern that we had come to look at is reacting to actions done by the user. Like any application, you would want to have users use your application, and now you want to react to actions these actions that are being done by the user we are usually looking at them as being triggered as observables. So how would we trigger them as observables? This comes back to our next point of pattern, which is subjects. So a subject, I like to think about subjects as a notice board or a bulletin board. So where now in this notice board, we post various information, or we are telling people that, okay, today we are going out for a swim tomorrow. And so anyone that passes through that notice board, the observers will get to know this information. There are variations of subjects, such as behavior subject, where now we have to provide an initial value, and in this case, any new observer will get the information that is being provided. So if we have a subject, that means we're getting an observable, and that's not, and if we want to use this observable to trigger another observable. So how do we go about this? We go about this through higher order mappings or flattening operators. There are various flattening operators, but over the past 2 or 3 years that I've been working with Angular, I found out that these are the most three that I've found common to me. And so for purposes of this talk, making it short as possible, we wanted to look at the switch map. So in the switch map, uh, aside from the switch map is a higher order mapping operator that gets one observable and uses the information from that observable to go and trigger another observable and subscribe to it and get information from it. So when we think about switch map, we can look at a situation where, like, a waiter. So a waiter in a restaurant is being told that they need to, you are ordering pancakes. Today I've been having a thing for pancakes. And for the waiter goes to the kitchen and tells the chef that, and this is a busy restaurant, that the people in table 3 want pancakes. But then you realize that, okay, we don't want pancakes anymore. So what do we do in this case? We call the waiter back and tell the waiter, cancel that order, and please now get us waffles. So in this case, the waiter acts as the switch map operator who goes and cancels this order and now triggers a new operation. The people in the kitchen are acting as the inner observable. So aside from the losses that are making them angry, they will just have to switch the order because you're the customer and you're getting it right. So in this case, we would look at it in the form that we are getting the observable from the subject and then calling an external observable to get the information that we need. And that's how we are reacting to the user doing a particular action. So how does this look like in a snippet of code? Once again, snippet from PostService, where we've created a subject where it looks at the ID of that subject. And this ID is based on the selection of the user. So once the user selects it, the subject usually offers a method as observable that converts the variation into an observable that can be subscribed to. And this observable is the one that would pass through will pass through this, will pipe it with the switch map and now call the HTTP get to get the post URL and the specific ID that we want. And as you can see now, it also offers the next method, which now just gives the next value. Because in or in other observables that are external, the next value is provided by the data source. But this one, we are reacting to the user's observable, or the user's action rather. So this user's action, we are passing it on to the next value, and now we are getting a new value in the observable that we're going to use. Inside, so reading this observable is now just using the declarative way, where we're just getting it as a pipeable operation with a single post, just as I had declared inside the post service operator. So it is important to note that now we're using the else keyword so that in case the observable does not have anything, when there's no selection, it doesn't trigger any changes. But now this allows that if the user changes the mind, maybe you're choosing the single post one, then changes mind. No, I want to. You can change just the same way that I had put in the example of having a waiter. You can call the waiter and change the order that you wanted. So another way that we can look at working with RxJ, another pattern that you can look at is working with multiple streams. It is almost inevitable that you'd find yourself that, or you will need to work with multiple streams. So multiple streams of information can have different informations, but now we want to combine them to get information that is valuable to a particular user. So how do we work with multiple operations? We use combination operators. And once again, just like using the previous one, the previous higher order mapping, these were the operators that I found that we use the mostly. And for purposes of this talk, we'll also just be looking at combined latest. So combined latest can be looked like having a group. We're having a group. So in this group, we have a group leader. So the group leader and three members. So for the for the group, they have to give out a report. But the three members have topic 1, topic 2, and topic 3. And we would want that for the report to be given out, all topics must be submitted at that particular time. So we would wait for the group leader would now wait for the first person to come with topic 1, wait topic 2, then topic 3, then combine them. Once this is combined, now we can give the value. So this is exact. So the group leader in this case now acts like the combined latest. The combiner combines these multiple streams of information, i.e. now the the people giving the topic 1, topic 2, and topic 3, and then would give it and it's only they will only emit once at least the stream have emitted at least once. So this means that if the first group member does not bring and the other two have brought, there'll be no value. So uh, how does this look like in code? That's we have this piece of code in a component file that maybe we're getting a post observable and a user's observable. In the posts observable, we have the user ID. This is based on the types for JSON type code. You can just look at them. We had put an examples using them. So in the posts, we have the user ID, but we want the username to be set on the post name. So how would we do this? We would combine the post observable and the user's observable, and inside the subscription callback, we can ignore that the double for loops. It was just being written to show the point. Where we would get the user's name for after looping through the posts and looping through the users and getting to see if the post user ID is equal to the user ID. And that's how this combined latest can be used to show the pattern. So there are also there's also a pattern that you can, they not usually obvious to many, probably obvious to the very important people that are on this call and they're making the presentations with us. The ones that actually made the Angular, but we are just the users in this. I'm just the user at this point. Looking at reactive forms. So reactive forms usually take advantage of observable streams in that they provide real-time data by subscribing to value changes. And now in the value changes, you can do operations based on the real-time information that has been provided by the user. If the user enters A, you have the A inside the template file, and now you can work with it. Another part that works with observable streams in Angular is the event emitter, which takes custom actions done by a child component and passes it to the parent component. And finally, we have the HTTP client, which can be seen in most of our examples, where we make HTTP calls and return those values as observables. And I think without further ado, this was our very short talk today. Yeah, thank you.